Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the cryptocurrency market today as we're approaching the weekend where we see the most amount of manipulation in this market, and Bitcoin is buying time right now at that $58,300 level where we have this weekly and monthly open. And when we look at what's happening to the traditional markets, because they did close today for the week, you can see we have an extremely bullish S&P 500 candle that closed today on Friday. And the big question now is whether or not Bitcoin is also going to see a rally to new all-time highs during this weekend, just like the S&P 500, coming way and above this 50-day moving average. I want to talk about exactly what I'm expecting here during the weekend, because you can see Bitcoin has yet to follow this move, and we know it's been correlating quite closely to the S&P 500, and so the potential for this to see new all-time highs is extremely high. And I want to talk about exactly what levels I'm watching in order to determine where this breakout will take us. If we look at the schematics of this triangle, notice how it does show confluence with a potential target towards the top of this channel, which takes us around the $75,000 level, where Bitcoin has tested this area once in the past, twice, and it could possibly be a third test, maybe during this weekend, where we see the most amount of manipulation in the cryptocurrency market due to CME futures being closed, where we have less institutional volume, allowing for whales to manipulate the price more. We have a lot to look at today. You guys are watching the Snipers channel. My name is Naeem Al-Ubaidi. If you appreciate this content, remember to like this video. First, I want to talk about what's happening with the volume on the 4-hour chart. Notice how we're still seeing very light volume here for the Bitcoin price, but more importantly, when we look at the Ichimoku cloud, notice how we're riding the top here, and we are staying right between this monthly and weekly open, and we know our major level is at 58,300, and it is acting as a sticky area for the Bitcoin price. This, to me, as an analyst, is a sign of strength. The fact that we're able to maintain price action at the weekly open, and we are testing this monthly open, seeing wicks above this monthly open inside of this bullish symmetrical triangle, in my opinion, those are all bullish signs, especially as we look into traditional markets. I'm going to talk about exactly what I'm expecting and the effects of traditional markets with this potential move that we'll see here with Bitcoin. And so realize that we still have this major level at 58,300, of course, and this to me is the make it or break it for this breakout. If we continue to see price action above this level, we are now approaching the apex of this triangle. There is a chance we could see a massive breakout to new all-time highs during the weekend for Bitcoin, and the confirmation of that is going to be a break of this structural resistance level. Because remember, as much as we like to look at the weekly and monthly open, those are just indicators, and I personally only use indicators as confirmations, but my primary thesis will always come from market structure, price action, and overall trend. And so once we see a breakout of this resistance level right around that $60,000 level, and I say 60,000 because it's also a big even. If we start to see 4-hour and hourly candles close above 60,000, I think Bitcoin has the chance to see a major run up to new all-time highs with this potential target of 75,000 US dollars. So we want to monitor this. We want to monitor the volume. We want to see how this volume will come in. So far, we're seeing garden variety market behavior with Bitcoin consolidating, and we're seeing a lot of altcoins move, like Engine Coin seeing new all-time highs, the Binance coin seeing new all-time highs during this consolidation phase. And of course, for those inside of our Discord group, you guys know we have been sending a ton of altcoin trades. Here's actually one that we sent yesterday, stpt usdt, already hitting all targets, 30% upside. And so realize that during this season, here's an example of a trade that we took here in our Discord group. You can see we came all the way down to this 50-day moving average, and I sent this signal out for an entry at this market structural support level, because just as much as I like this 50-day moving average, it's also an indicator. It's not what I use for trading. It's just a confirmation. But this market structural support that held once, twice, and a third time is where we actually bounced. And you can see as soon as we got confirmation of volume coming in, we knew that we had the 50-day moving average there showing confluence with this market structural support. And you can see it wasn't the 50-day moving average that held, it was the market structure. And that's why I primarily use market structure and not indicators when trading. And you can see as soon as we started to see an increase in volume, I sent out this entry at 71.45, and we've already seen over 30% profits for this trade here in less than 48 hours. And so realize that there are a ton of these plays happening right now. For those in the Discord, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There have been a ton of altcoins moving, and that is a very positive sign when we look at the total cryptocurrency market cap, because you can see it's very different than Bitcoin's chart. We are forming new all-time highs this week with the total cryptocurrency market cap, and the reason we're seeing this sort of decouple from Bitcoin is because others' dominance is in price discovery right now, above 13% dominance. And you can see here, we are seeing massive structural momentum here for others' dominance, breaking this 5-year resistance level that acted as a resistance 3 times. We've broken through this, and I talked about this 2 months ago in a video. If you remember, I said this altcoin season is very different than before, because before it was all about ICOs, initial coin offerings, where the liquidity was locked up and investors weren't seeing immediate returns. And this altcoin cycle is all about DeFi, where we're seeing immediate returns for investors, and decentralized finance is a way larger use case than what ICOs were. And so this is extremely positive for the total market, and that's why we're seeing a lot of altcoins run up to new all-time highs, and the total cryptocurrency market cap coming above $2 trillion. But we've yet to see Bitcoin move, and the reason for that is, of course, we know when Bitcoin is consolidating, that's when altcoins move. And the Bitcoin dominance chart you can see here, just as we expected, we're seeing continued downside here. And during this weekend, I will be marking more structural support levels, as we are coming now below our major structural level, 57.2% dominance. You can see Bitcoin is already coming down below that, and we're still seeing some high sell pressure here. And so we want to monitor this, but overall, this is not a bad thing, because we want to see other coins gain traction in this market, so it's not just Bitcoin that has institutional interest. And now let's talk about the big elephant in the room, of course, Ethereum. We're all watching Ethereum's price. Notice how with Ethereum's chart, it is showing a little bit more strength than Bitcoin, because we have been able to maintain this channel support here. If we look at the 4-hour Ichimoku cloud, we are not just riding it, we're actually bouncing on this 4-hour Ichimoku cloud and bouncing on the 50-period moving average. And notice when we look at the weekly and monthly open, we're actually weighing above the monthly open, unlike Bitcoin, which is sitting right around the monthly open, a little bit below the monthly open. And notice how we maintain this channel support. And so the possibility for Ethereum to continue to the upside, if we see continued momentum with altcoins, we do have this target around that $2,300 level as this market structural resistance level for Ethereum. And of course, if we start to see downside, 1980 is a major support level. So we want to hold 1980 when it comes to the downside scenario for Ethereum. But so far, things are looking good into the weekend. And the reason things are looking good for Ethereum is if we look at the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, we've been able to maintain 35,000 Satoshis, as I've been telling you guys. And so as long as we're above 35,000 Satoshis, if we're riding this 50-period moving average on the 4-hour chart, these are all good signs for the Ethereum price to potentially come up to our first target around that 37,000 Satoshi level. Now, it is going to be the weekend, and so realize that we're going to see the most amount of manipulation in this market. And so when it comes to any sort of downside scenarios for Bitcoin, what I'm going to be watching, of course, is this structural support level where we have some confluence here with the previous weekly open, which we're going to change in the next couple of days as we see a new weekly open into next week. But this $55,700 level is an important level for me. So when it comes to the downside, we don't know what's going to happen in the weekend. I'm the umpire. I'm addressing both sides of the equation for you. 55,700 is key for me. If we get below this level, there is a potential we could come to the CME gap at 54,450, but the CME gaps are not that significant. The real push down would take us all the way to that $49,700 level if we break the structural support right around that $55,700 level. And so don't pay too much attention to the CME gap, and also realize if we pull up the Bitcoin CME chart, what you'll notice is if we do end up coming to fill the CME gap, it would actually break this market structural support level for this ascending triangle that's forming. And so I don't think we'll come down to fill the CME gap if we're going to see continued upside, because of course this chart here is most likely going to break out to the upside, as it is a ascending triangle, and the gaps don't really matter when we have so many other gaps down below. And so realize that I'm not too worried about the Bitcoin CME gap. I had someone mention that to me. And then to wrap up this video, I want to talk about traditional markets. This is extremely important. I know I addressed a little bit of the S&P 500 earlier in this video, but realize this: Bitcoin has been showing a lot of correlation with the S&P 500, and notice how the 50-day moving average has been a place where the S&P 500 and Bitcoin has continued to find support. And now the S&P 500 closed the week much and beyond this 50-day moving average, a lot further away than Bitcoin is currently. And realize that this very bullish candle with this nice tail was also printed here on Friday here as we closed the markets for the week. And so this is indicating that we could potentially see further upside into next week for traditional markets. But regardless of that, notice how we have so much bullish action here, and we are way above the monthly and weekly open, but Bitcoin is yet to make that move. And so that to me is an extremely positive thing for the cryptocurrency market. The fact that this weekend could be the time that we do see this breakout, like the S&P 500 has been showing strength, and just like we predicted, the DXY consolidating in between this area. As long as we stay around this 200-day moving average, I think that's a very good thing for the DXY. We do want to keep note that there could be a potential bearish pattern here. You can see we have this bearish tail that closed for the DXY, but I'm not too worried about the DXY as long as we're above this 91.92 area. I think that there is still potentially going to be strength here, especially as the 2 and 10-year treasury yields continue to rise. And so we want to monitor the DXY, but I don't think the DXY is going to affect markets right now specifically. Of course, they did at one point when it ran up to this resistance level, and we told you guys about that, and then we did see a little bit of a pullback, but since then, since we predicted this being the resistance level, just like we expected, it's now allowing more breathing room for traditional markets to see upside. So a lot of things happening in the market today. I do want to give back, and if you want to win one of my favorite books on investing, Principles by Ray Dalio, comment below and share this video, and you'll have a chance to win this book. I'm going to pick a winner from our video yesterday. And by the way, if you guys are on Instagram, we do have a Traders Profit Club Instagram page that is extremely active. I'd love for you guys to go check out that page, share some of our content, and I will also be doing some book giveaways on Instagram, just so you guys know. There won't be a link in the description, but it's just Traders Profit Club on Instagram, and you can find us. James Herbert says, thanks, Naeem. Top analysis as always. You want a book? Go ahead and send me a message on Instagram, and we'll go ahead and get that book out to you guys. And with that, thank you so much for watching. It's going to be an exciting weekend. We know that's when we see the most amount of manipulation, and it's extremely fun on the weekends in the cryptocurrency market as other markets are closed, and this is the only place you can trade. And so I'm excited to see what happens this weekend. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing weekend. Snipers out.